My narcissistic sister tried to end me, and my family brushed it off as a joke. Now they realize how messed up she is. So, a little background. I am the second youngest of 5 kids. My older siblings are 2 brothers and 1 older sister, who we'll call Ellen, of course a fake name, for the purposes of this post. Ellen and I have a 5-year age gap. As a result, we never really had that sisterly bond you would expect most sisters have. Growing up, I was always a burden to her, and anytime it was my turn to pick the family movie or really anything, she would get upset. The reason being that she had control issues as early as 9. So I'm guessing you can already see where I'm going with this. I'm currently 18, about to turn 19, and Ellen turned 24 earlier this year. Her boyfriend, Alan, a fake name again, proposed to her at a family beach day earlier in June of this year. It was one of those big white letters and rose petals, proposals which he set up before my family arrived. She was thrilled, said yes, and my parents were very happy along with my older siblings. The youngest is 4, so I don't think she understood what was happening. Now here's the drama. Since the proposal, she has gone into full bridezilla mode. At the behest of my mom, E made me a bridesmaid. So, I'm roped into all the BS. So far, these are the demands my dear sister has made. All bridesmaids are to pay for their own dress, a $300 dress, in blush pink, shoes, hair, and makeup. All bridesmaids need to attend all wedding and bachelorette events, including A. The bachelorette spa day, $800 each. B. The bachelorette vacation weekend to Toronto and stay at the Fairmont Hotel, $1,000 weekend just for hotel. C. The dress appointments, even if just for the bride, all alterations covered by the person themselves. $300 dress, plus approx $300 alterations. D. All things to do with weddings, cake venue, catering, etc., they need to attend. The cake and food tasting, they all need to pay $25. E. The guests and the bridal groom party need to pay $150 to reserve their spots, and gifts have to be either cash, check, or from the list of registry items. She has a spreadsheet of what everyone is gifting, and has said she will return items that aren't from her registry, match her theme. My mom says it's bride anxiety. I say it's just my sister trying to control everything, because she wants a December wedding on a ski hill. All bridesmaids need to go to hair and skin appointments every 6 weeks to ensure our hair and skin is flawless for pictures. It's out of pocket too. Anyone with tattoos needs to cover them. Our dresses will do that. They go to the neck, ankles, and wrists. The bride wants to be the only one sleeveless, showing her tattoos and colorful hairstyle. Either we need to get our hair dyed to a natural color or wear a wig at our expense. The dresses only come in sizes 0 to 10, pretty good range for most. But those who don't fit are expected to try to lose weight. I'm a size 12, and already my sister is calling me fat. She sent me a keto diet book through Amazon. No one, vendors, are to communicate directly to the bridegroom. It has to go through us first. She made a Gmail with last name wedding, which we all have access to, and we aren't supposed to ask her if something is okay. We should just know. This is the part that stresses mom out. We need to remind the guests that they need to pay a deposit of $150 to save their spot, and if we don't get it, they won't come. We also need them to confirm what they'll purchase from the registry or the money amount they'll give. Edit 2. Y'all are making me realize my family isn't normal. I'm gonna look into therapy with my uni and seeing if I can move into residence earlier. I want to thank the person who privately messaged me about getting my mom off my bank account and also getting my birth certificate, etc. I think I'm going to do that after I talk to the people at the bank. I texted my mom, I'm at work right now, if she, dad, and I can talk about it while my sister is gone to her fiancé's for the night. I'm hoping to show my mom and dad this post to help them understand where I'm coming from. Edit 3. I'm gonna take some time away from this alt, just because a lot of you are right. This isn't normal. Our relationship as a family is not normal. I called my aunt while I was at work. For those of you who don't know, she's my godmother, and she thinks my mom is nuts, and we talked about it. She's encouraged me to talk to my parents about everything, not only the wedding, but favoritism, etc. since childhood, and she's also on standby in case things go to shit. My shift at work finishes in a few more hours. Then I'll go home and pack a quick bag of stuff for my aunt to grab before my parents and I talk. Firstly, I just wanted to apologize for how long this has taken. My parents originally planned to talk that night, but Mom said she wasn't feeling good and decided to go to sleep early around 6 p.m., and that feeling stayed for a while. We then got busy moving my sister into her fiancé's place, and by the time everything settled, my parents forgot we had something to discuss and kind of brushed it off to the side. We finally had the conversation 2 days ago, and I needed a day to think and just react to things. So without further ado, here is the update. So it turns out my dad never knew the whole story. He knew he was responsible for paying for my sister's dress and a portion of the wedding or honeymoon. The reason for this is that my parents told me, Dad confirmed with bank records, that my parents had been setting up 25,000 accounts for myself and each of my siblings. The rule was that these accounts could be used for anything once we turned 19 and went off to post-secondary. It was our money to use. I just turned 19 and my dad was getting ready to sign the money over to me when we had this conversation, which caused a bit of a blow-up. But right now, I need to give some background info I was given. Right after my sister got engaged, she apparently had a conversation with my mom about how she always felt like the child left out. She's used this line before, so I do believe my mom fell for it and was guilt-tripped. As a result of a very long conversation, my mom figured that she could divert some of the funds from all the kids' accounts to pay for sister's wedding. For those wondering, my 2 older brothers are in the military. They aren't married yet and live on base. They never use their $25,000 because the Army in Canada pays for your education, housing, etc. So my mom had $50,000 at her disposal. Then combined with my sister's and my $25,000, it would have been $100,000. Mom figured that because I had $17,000 saved up, she could just give me my $25,000 later for a car or a house payment or wedding. Sister did this because, again, she is a master manipulator. She used some of my mom's mental and physical health conditions against her. When I was born, Mom went through very bad paranoid personality disorder, resulting in her leaving to a treatment facility for 4 months, leaving my sister, 2 brothers, me, and Dad behind. My 2 older brothers at the time were 9 and 7 at the time, and me, only a few months. Sister, for reference, was 5, or just shy of 5. I honestly don't care to calculate, since my brothers were trouble. My dad and his brother, my uncle, had his hands full, and a live-in nanny did the stuff for me. So my sister had my aunt, who lived with us at the time, and got little to no attention from Dad, at an age where attention is important. I think that triggered the bad sides of her to come out. While the nanny did help Sister with basics, food, water, bath, clothes, and a little play, she wasn't a replacement for Mom. Even my aunt wasn't a replacement for Mom, despite her being there mainly for Sister and sleeping in the same bed as her, helping her with homework, having girls' trips, etc. When Mom came back, my sister had a huge grudge, but not to Mom, but to me. I was the reason Mom left, which led to her trying to smother me with a pillow. Mom caught her in time, and it was a funny story for us as a family. Turns out that's a coping mechanism. Over my childhood, my sister has used manipulation to get what she wants, and she did it for the wedding too. Mom felt bad and decided to give her little dove everything she desired. Common things I heard growing up were, "You always give XYZ, I want this." Proceeds to have a meltdown as my sister grows up. It wasn't little toys and candy anymore, but girls' trips. As a result of this, Dad and I grew very close. He's my best friend. My sister and I had a decent relationship when I was 12 to 14, but it changed again when Mom got pregnant with my youngest sister. It was an accident, and I became the target again for my sister's rage and abuse. While I know it doesn't excuse a lot of things, I figured it would be important to give you all the whole story, since I forgot some very important details in my last post, which I added later. A day after my sister moved out, I asked my mom and dad to please finally have the convo with me. Mom was feeling better, so we sat down and we talked. I told them how I felt, how much of a financial toll it would be on me, how it wasn't fair, etc. Well, Dad blew up. He didn't know about the 100,000 or the things sisters were doing, etc. He didn't like the fact that mom used a lot of "your father and I agree" talk, even though they hadn't. So I showed group chat screenshots. We worked through the wedding issue, I don't have to attend, and the 25,000 for me issue, dad is signing it over early. Then I was asked to go to my room for a bit because dad and mom wanted to talk. They settled the budget issue on their own. Dad then asked why I didn't feel comfortable talking to them earlier, so I showed them this post. My dad snapped. He immediately called my sister and told her to come here as soon as possible because he needed to talk to her and would not accept excuses. She said she would be here in 4 hours because she was with fiancé and his parents. Dad pressed, and she hung up and blocked him. Dad told me to go to my room once again, but to leave my phone so they could go over the post and see the comments. I don't know exactly what happened, but mom came to talk to me later. She then told me about the paranoid personality disorder that I didn't know about earlier. We solved our issues, and I finished by asking if my sister would go to therapy. Because moms were convinced that the 4-month leave caused this stuff in her, mom said she'd try, but can't force. I told her if my sister doesn't go, I'm going no contact with her, and possibly less contact with mom. Dad then joined the convo and assured me I would get my money, and I wouldn't have to go to the wedding if I didn't want to. Since my sister is charging $150 per guest, she can pay for her grandiose wedding through that. And his family aren't paying for shit apparently, so now they have to, or sister doesn't get to have her ski hill wedding. Speaking of the $150 fee, y'all were right. It was my sister who concocted the whole thing and told mom it was an Italian thing. We talked to my sister's mom-in-law when she dropped her off. Sister doesn't drive, and mom-in-law was shocked that sister had said that. There is apparently a money dance, but no $150 fee. So on to what happened when sister came back. She came after 5 hours, and while mom-in-law was there, she was sweet as pie. But when MIL left, oh lord, the gates to hell broke loose. She demanded why dad disturbed the peaceful evening and demanded he drive her back. Dad said he didn't care and to sit down. She refused. They fought. Finally, she sat down after dad started pulling out various tricks, including money or telling mom-in-law about sister's true nature, which I guess fiancé hasn't seen much of. I was excused to my room again. There was a lot of angry yelling back and forth and a lot of manipulation from my sister, including threats of less contact, no contact, or no seeing possible grandkids in the future. She was trying to get mom to go back to the original plan, and mom and dad weren't budging. The fighting continued and stopped when my dad yelled saying, mom isn't her punching bag and her paranoid personality disorder was not her fault, and if she was that angry about it, go to therapy. After that, I was called back down, and we went over all the issues. Starting with the keto book, my sister tried to defend saying I was fat and lazy. Dad defended me. Sister started to cry, and mom told dad to be a little softer, which he did. We finally discussed everything, and I felt like part of the family instead of like a punching bag. Sister eventually got an Uber and left because she was being attacked. We're going to wait until Christmas time when brothers are back in town so we can all discuss what we need as a family to go forward and be healthy. But it will most likely be therapy or cutting my sister out. Mom and dad are still figuring out the full budget issue with my sisters-in-law. My parents told them that for such a wedding to happen, everyone would need to contribute. In-laws agreed that $100,000 for a wedding is insane. Last I heard, my sister will get her $15,000 for the wedding, which is basically $5,000 because $10,000 dress since it's already been ordered. The other $1,000 is being held for something tangible, and then her in-laws are being generous and helping with $15,000. $10,000 for the wedding, $5,000 for the honeymoon. As for my schooling, Dad and I are going to the bank tomorrow and we're going to pay the cancellation fee for the loan I had to take out. The loan only officially starts when I start school, so thankfully the cancellation fee is very small. My dad is paying for the fee because he admits that I should have never had to take the loan out. My parents agreed that my first year of university, along with housing costs, will not come out of my budget, the $17,000 or $25,000, so they will pay for themselves. The full amount that they budgeted for me is going to be transferred into something called a tax-free savings account for later in life. Well, Mom and I still have a somewhat rocky relationship. Sister absolutely hates me. She blamed me for everything and said that I have caused irreparable damage to her relationship with her fiancé and in-laws. Because of this, she's banned me from the wedding and from her life. I honestly don't care. I don't really see it as losing a sister. I see it as losing a bully. I made a promise to my mom and dad that I would never treat my younger sister like that. I'm going to be the role model she deserves, and I'm going to be her protector, like my brothers and my father were for me. Figured I would update you, since it's been a very long time. So on to the update. Family therapy is going really well. My two brothers were given temporary leave to come back to Canada. They were both stationed overseas for a bit. I believe they have to go back after this, to help the process along. Our family is getting back on track, and my mom and I are closer than ever. It honestly feels like I have my best friend back. As for my sister, honestly, I don't know what's going on with her. A friend of mine still follows her social media, and everything seems well. The wedding was moved up to November 26th instead of December 17th like she originally planned. She and her fiancé have bought a place. Apparently, and this is rumors, she's pregnant. She's cut all of us off, and her fiancé's family is talking shit about us, but we're holding strong. In other more exciting news, I'm loving Ottawa. I go back home once a month for in-person therapy, but I also have 3 virtual sessions monthly. On top of that, my oldest brother is getting married. So while I lost a terrible sister, I gained an amazing sister. She's so sweet, texts me every couple of days, gets me Uber, eats orders when I'm down despite being provinces away. She's so sweet. She asked if I would feel comfortable being her maid of honor. She's an only child and her mom passed away, and I agreed. So by this time next year, I'll have an official new sister. There's not a whole lot else to say, but I also have a boyfriend. He's in the army too, couldn't get away from it I guess, and very supportive and loving. Our 6-month anniversary is in January, and I'm looking forward to it. Anyways, thank you so much Reddit. You are all amazing, beautiful, soulful humans, and I hope you all have prosperous, healthy, and fruitful lives. A lot of people wanted to know what happened at the wedding yesterday, so I shall provide the update. My family and I were banned from going, but my cousins and friends and her now husband's family filled it with me. So not a whole lot happened at the ceremony. The mother of groom showed up in an off-white dress, and a few people brought their kids, despite it being a child-free ceremony. But no true drama happened until the reception. I somewhat feel bad for my sister because of this, but the mother of groom invited one of the groom's exes, I guess, to hope that it would break them up, but it didn't work. She tried to get between my sister and her now husband, but her husband, and I give him props for this, told her to leave. Honestly, all around it wasn't dramatic. They made it to the altar and are leaving for their honeymoon today or tomorrow. But one thing that was confirmed is my sister is definitely pregnant. At the end of the wedding speeches, the groom said his with a slideshow, and the last slide was an ultrasound picture and baby last name due June 2023. Sorry it isn't much of an update,